Hi everyone, this is Gina with Cheer Coach Academy, and I am coming on here live today to talk to you about a question that I've frequently have been asked several times just in the last few weeks as everyone's getting ready for tryouts. And it's usually the question of who judges your tryouts, how can I get judges for my tryouts? I am going to share with you my theory and my philosophy on judging tryouts that maybe not everyone's going to agree with, but that's okay. I'm just going to put it out there. I don't think you should find judges for your tryouts. I think you as the coach need to make that decision. So let me tell you why. Let's think back to the early days of cheerleading, and even cheerleading back in the maybe 70s, 80s, when typically you would have potential cheerleaders try out in front of the whole school, and the whole school would vote on who they wanted as cheerleaders. And I know that is the way I tried out for cheerleading my first year. That maybe the first couple years, you had to go up and do a routine in front of the school, and then they voted on who they liked as a cheerleader, and it kind of turned into a popularity contest. I was told that I was voted in because I smiled a lot. So I don't even know if I really had cheerleading skills at that time, but I did smile, and that's kind of a basic thing you need to do for cheerleading. So that's how I became a cheerleader, but let's look at how cheerleading has evolved. I think we could all start with the agreement that cheerleading is a sport. It requires athleticism, and it requires the same sort of skills as any other sport at your school. And so when you bring in outside judges, it really kind of just dismisses your authority as a coach. So think about your football team, think about your basketball team, volleyball, you name the sport. I don't know of any other sport at a school that brings in people from the outside to judge. And why would we do that any differently for cheerleading? So the judges I always use for my tryouts are, of course, myself, but then also my tumbling coach and my assistant coaches. And maybe when I've been in schools where they've had a junior high and high school combined, I bring in the junior high coach. So people within the program, but ultimately as a head coach, I had the final say on who made the team and who did not. Now, this is really tough if you have a group of parents who you know will be really resistant to a decision you might have made to either cut an athlete or to put an athlete on JV. And I've had those tough conversations with those parents. But I will say that if you as the coach are making that decision, you are really establishing your authority and you are owning your program. Bringing in outside judges from whether it's any kind of spirit or cheer company or college cheerleaders, they're not the ones who are going to be working with this team. Ultimately, it is you. And if we want cheerleading to be recognized as a sport, as it truly is, then we shouldn't be doing things so much differently than the other sports at the school. So I really want you to I want to encourage you to think about this and how you're going to do it. Now, I know there's many coaches that come to Cheer Coach Academy that are brand new. You've never coached before in your life, and you may not know what you're looking for. Well, you are going to be able to see if these athletes have any sort of talent. You should have some basic knowledge of, are they hitting their emotions right? Do they have athleticism? Can they jump well? Did they memorize everything? Were they able to perform? And if they messed up during the tryout, were they able to recover? I always look at recovery almost more so than if they messed up or not. If they messed up during the tryout dance, you want to look at recovery. And then there's also having that score sheet, understanding what you are judging your team on, so then you can make the best decision for your team. Now, I'd love to walk you through it more. If you have specific questions on how can I select my own team, then I'd love to walk that through with you more. And I still have tryout days, so they come prepared with a cheer, a dance. Sometimes I have the fight song. I incorporate stunts into my tryouts. You may or may not want to do that, but I've always coached competitive programs, and so stunts and tumbling are a necessary must. I don't have them perform extremely advanced skills, only skills that I can see during the tryout clinic they are capable of performing safely. So you want to establish what is going to be on your tryout score sheet. And then as a coach, make sure you can look and be able to score what definitely would be a higher score, what would be a lower score. So I'm very curious to find out what your thoughts are on judging tryouts. And like I said, there's probably people out there that completely disagree with me, and there are probably people who agree. And I know in some of the conversations I've had online and through email, there were a number of people who hadn't thought of it that way, and they're going to give it a try. So please get back to me and let me know, and comment in the posts below if you have any thoughts about who should be judging tryouts. I'm also going to be adding in the comments below a link to the Cheer Coach Tryout Starter Package, and that's something that's going to help you get all your paperwork ready for tryouts. I also have 2 different score sheets, one if it's going to be a more in-depth tryout where you're going to have to make cuts, or it's going to be pretty close on who's making JV and varsity, and then another one that's a little more simplified, maybe for a newer program or for programs where you know there's probably a pretty obvious cutoff for the team or for JV varsity. So I will put a link in there as well. And I really want to encourage you to own your program. You make that final decision on who is on your team. And I know that's going to give you a lot more credibility with your team, with your parents, because you are making that selection, and we're not hiding behind another a set of judges who made the decision. It's that you made this decision, and that's the way you're going with your program. So I encourage you to do it, and I would love to hear your feedback. Thanks so much, and happy St. Patrick's Day.